no surprises on the QE or the rates, but do you think the bank will ease further in the new year, and if so, when?
Well, I think its preferred approach from now on is to ease, if you like, via the funding for lending scheme. I mean, there are some initial signs that that's successful in the data that was published this week. It's very early days. I don't think they'll do more QE because I think that the inflation outlook is proving a little bit stickier than they were expecting, and that will keep them on hold with regard to that.
So no more QE then?
Yeah, no more QE, that's our central call. I mean, there's obviously clearly a chance. We've seen some fairly dovish talk from MPC members of late. They might come back to it. I don't think they'll do so before May or so next year, though. We're going to get a weak GDP print. That's baked in the cake for Q4, just because of the correction from some of the Olympic boost in Q3. But I don't think they'll be able to see through that sufficiently to know what the underlying position is in February, so I think they'll wait until nearer May before they come back, if they do any more at all.
Isn't it the case, though, that as we heard from the Chancellor and the OBR yesterday, the growth outlook is pretty grim? Our main trading partner, the Eurozone, is looking pretty grim there as well, and the latest rhetoric from some of the Bank of England hawks, if you like, has become a little more dovish.
I think that is right, yes. I've been surprised of late by some of the MPC members such as Broadbent and Fisher making fairly dovish sounds. I think, though, the major problem in the UK is bank lending, and the most effective way of addressing that is through schemes, credit easing schemes really, such as the FLS. So I think that should be, and probably will be, the route they take.
What about the UK's AAA rating? I mean, there's a lot of speculation in the press that it may be stripped by one or more of the major ratings agencies in the next few months. Do you think that will happen? And even if it does it matter?
Well, I think it's looking increasingly likely that one of the two that's currently got us on negative outlook will go for the downgrade. I mean, when you step back and think of all these advanced Western economies with spiralling healthcare costs and pension costs, none of them probably really deserve to be AAA, and really it's the sequencing that really matters in terms of who goes first, etc. So I think, yes, the reduction in trend growth in the UK is probably enough to tip some of them over the edge. And downgrades, does it matter? Well, maybe at the margin, but you do have to remember that the UK has a pretty solid characteristics in terms of its bond market. Very long maturity of debt, very large proportion of it held domestically. So I don't see a big spike up in yields if we're downgraded by a notch or so. I mean, the Japanese example is an obvious one where they were downgraded. Look at the bond yields today. So I don't think it's a major concern.